Alrighty, firstly and foremost, happy Monday. Hopefully everyone's doing well, had a great weekend, got some great sun. If it was blistering thunderstorms where you're at, well, there's always next weekend, right? Hopefully everyone's doing great. This week in the stock market, it's going to be a little crazy. So in today's video, I kind of really want to talk a little bit about what's going to be happening tomorrow with government data, aka the dreaded CPI report. However, a lot of people are really looking forward to this report, including myself, because I feel that we're going to be getting some good vibes. You got to remember, firstly and foremost, the government data is about the month prior. So if the month prior was not that bad for inflation, or if oil pretty much was lower last month than compared to, let's say, 2 months ago, it's going to work in your favor. You always got to remember that all this data that comes out, every single week, we pretty much get new data. Every month, we get new data. We get the same data, but obviously different data. But we get a CPI report every single month that the market definitely pays attention to, especially since we have moved in or been in a macro environment for the last 4 years now. Macro environment, inflation, deflation. Very much different than a micro environment, which is all about supply and demand. Welcome if you're new, by the way. I put out videos on this YouTube channel Monday through Friday. Saturday or Sunday, I post free educational content. Yesterday, I posted some free content. I also have various other YouTube channels as well, too. So if you are coming from my main gaming YouTube channel, Nightmare Age, welcome here. I can definitely tell you that the stock market is not a popular place right now, and it's a very scary place because of inflation. But my philosophy for making these videos on this channel over the last 8-9 months, if you are a long-term investor, building positions right now could very well be the greatest thing in your profile that you can do, especially if you've done your due diligence like I have. Not a financial advisor. I'm not here ultimately pretty much forcing anyone to do anything. I'm just posting what I'm doing, what my own thought process really is, and to really add motivation to people out there that are very much suffering because they're scared. They're thinking about leaving the market. Maybe they're new to the market and they don't understand this stuff. So that's really my goal for breaking down a lot of this information. I'm also going to be sharing, once I get through talking about this data, I'm going to be sharing 2 stocks that I'm going to be buying, potentially buying this week and definitely in the next, probably honestly, I want to say the next like couple months. 2 great companies out there. And yeah, so let's talk more about government data. Okay, so CPI, right? Tomorrow is a very big report, and like I was saying, these reports are very much the month prior data. So we're going to be looking at data from the previous month, not like current data from like August, like 10th, 9th, you know, like this month. It's all about pretty much like July. Now, last month's CPI obviously definitely came down. And the thing about it is because you got to be really looking at oil and following oil, especially through this trend that we are on. And on the chart right here, this is pretty much the weekly chart. So each one of these candlesticks represents 1 week. I honestly think the weekly chart a lot of the times are a little bit better to look at than the daily chart. I can definitely pull up the daily chart here. Each one of these candlesticks represents 1 day. Obviously, very much more spanned out. But if we just look at the weeks, pretty much the last several weeks, we have had a little bit of a spike up. Definitely for July, it was only probably about really 1 week we did have an increase. But I mean, overall, oil has significantly remained, on average, definitely below $85 a barrel. The Federal Reserve has stated multiple times that as long as oil is below $85 a barrel, it shouldn't really tick inflation up on the reports too much. Understand that if inflation does tick up a little bit, it doesn't automatically signal the Federal Reserve to very much like raise rates like they did back in 2022 and 23 rapidly, okay? If you were in the market, I was in the market during that time period when a lot of people I know ended up just saying, like, hey, I'm done with the market. I chose to stay in the market all throughout that time period. I have legitimately been in the market for almost 6.5 years now. Definitely not as long as some people, definitely longer than some. But I don't play the game of getting out, getting back in, and that's one thing that I highly encourage. That's nowhere even close to being financial advice. It's more so common sense. If you want the most accurate market, you got to stay in the market. You can't be like totally dismissing the market. Otherwise, you're going to be playing catch up. You got to be paying attention to what's happening every single week in the market. And it doesn't really require a tremendous, lot of your time. Yes, listening to earnings calls and listening to the Fed governors talk, that's a little bit time consuming. You can always pop in a movie. You can play a video game like I do. There's various ways to pass the time by as you're listening to a lot of interviews and stuff. But my prediction, honestly, and no, I'm not going out there placing any bets. I'm not doing any short-term options, long-term options at all. But in my own personal opinion, I really do think CPI is going to come in either in line or honestly below. So we could, right now, expectations is really 3.4%. We could hit 3.4 or we could hit 3.3. What would that really much cause if we theoretically hit 3.3? Any stocks out there that are interest rate sensitive are going to very much rally. You're going to have pretty much fintech stocks. Obviously, my baby SoFi very much hit higher, very much get a reevaluation, maybe even get into the 19s again. You're going to have very much speculative names, obviously, whether it's really much in the financial atmosphere. It could be a staples company as well, too. Staple companies, very much consumer-driven companies. I got a couple on my watch list. So you can very much we could very much have a push higher in the overall market. We could see the Qs have a very solid, nice green day tomorrow, theoretically, if CPI were to very much tick down. Definitely we are above the 50-day moving average on the Qs, aka the market. The NASDAQ Top 100, in my opinion, is a little bit more accurate than the S&P 500, and it really does follow a lot of macro environments a little more, in my opinion. So, hypothetically, if inflation does tick up, and it may signal something as a rate hike in the future, then that can ultimately send the Qs below the 50-day moving average. So, definitely think about that either way. To really wrap up about inflation for tomorrow, or the inflation report, is very much about the Fed prediction market, which has just utterly turned into a gambling spree, because that's not really what this is supposed to be. The new Fed governor has stated that he wants to take the Federal Reserve out of the spotlight because the Federal Reserve is too much in the spotlight. There are people that legitimately are placing bets on what the Fed is going to do. That's not how the U.S. stock market is supposed to be ran. The U.S. stock market is supposed to be ran by profitability. Is this company profitable? What is their growth rate? What is their CAGR, compound annual growth rate? How much are they looking to grow into the future? Right now, we are stuck in a macro environment where people are betting if the Fed is going to be raising or lowering interest rates. It's utterly crazy. So for me personally, I don't have any bets at all. If the market goes down, I'll be buying stock. If the market goes up, I'll still be buying stock, because there are discounts left and right out there. But right now, the market is seeing for September, we have literally a little less than a coin toss to raise interest rates a quarter basis point. Although a couple weeks ago, this was actually, there was some prediction of the Fed raising interest rates by 0.50% basis point. But 45% And by the way, if you are new to all this stuff, this can go ahead and change in a snap of a finger, blink of an eye. Back in December, I was making videos about this stuff when Powell was still the Fed governor talking. Powell is still on the board of the Federal Reserve. He's just no longer the governor, basically talking. If you really dive into the Federal Reserve, it's utterly like a shenanigans, okay? The U.S. president just elects like the speaker of the Fed, pretty much. And that speaker has to convince the other board members to vote in favor of a rate cut or to lower interest rates. It's a very political driven, complicated system, okay? Back in December, there was a 25% chance that Powell would cut interest rates by a quarter basis point. Guess what? Back in December, Powell cut interest rates when the market saw a 25% chance. All this stuff that you see here, it's garbage, in my opinion. It really is. This is all just based on algos. It's based on probabilities. It can change in a blink of an eye, pretty much like I was saying. So we really got to see what is going to end up happening for tomorrow. But me personally, I'm positioned, whether the market goes up and down, I'm positioned by owning stock in great companies. And I got cash in the sideline where, hey, this market gets sent down. Hey, I'll buy stocks heavy. If the market goes up, hey, I could very well much add to my positions, right? Okay, so two stocks that I am going to be buying very much over the next several weeks, several months, until something definitely happens within these sectors and also the companies as well too. So Netflix is a fairly new position that I started here publicly, and I own this position on two of my profiles. I have a public profile dedicated to this YouTube channel that I made earlier this year. Probably won't get around to showing it in this video. I want to keep this video relatively short. But I've been buying Netflix, and I'm going to be continuing to buy Netflix too. Why is that? Well, Netflix is firstly a phenomenal company, one of the best companies in the world. Their business model is literally an OG business model. It's subscription-based. Subscription-based models are utterly amazing. I myself have a subscription-based model for YouTube, Patreon, Twitch TV, other platforms, kick.com, pretty much streaming, making videos and stuff, right? The vast majority of YouTubers out here, we all have like a subscription-based model, right? Netflix is just a gigantic subscription-based model. So Netflix, their growth rate is definitely coming down. Why is this? Well, the company has utterly stated multiple times, hey, the consumer is paying more money because of energy and also at the gas pump. It's making people legitimately, cancel their subscription. Is that true? That is very true. Okay, gas prices are higher, energy prices are higher, inflation is higher. If somebody doesn't use Netflix, they're going to save $20 a month. Okay? There's been times where I haven't used Netflix and I've kept my subscription because, one, I keep forgetting to watch Netflix movies because I also have Amazon Prime. And then on the other side of things, it's like, hey, I'm a very loyal... I myself am one of those people out there where there are probably millions of people that are very loyal and will continue to hold Netflix even though we may not watch a movie. So I've actually been watching a lot of movies and TV shows a little more on Netflix because I definitely want to get my money out of it. But for me personally, where I'm at in my life financially, $20, saving $20 a month, if I had to save $20 a month, I would cut out something else. However, hey, there are people out there that they got to do what they got to do. And if they need to cut out Netflix, if they need to cut out Amazon Prime, they're going to cut out Netflix. They're going to cut out Amazon Prime. That's one of the contributing factors why we are seeing this decline. Not to mention Netflix ended up exiting a massive deal that probably would have been a money drainer for their business for many, many years. Talking about buying Warner Brothers. So the thing about it is that ever since pretty much, and by the way, I have owned Netflix before. I actually did take Netflix earlier this year because I was actually buying Netflix earlier back in February and January, all around these levels. And then Netflix literally went up by friggin' a juicy, I believe it was like 30, 35, 40%. I ended up honestly selling all of it because I didn't even get a chance to build a position up. And I'm like, yeah, let me just go ahead and cash it, put that money elsewhere. So I'm definitely looking to build a larger position in Netflix over time. And there is no doubt that when inflation does go down, Netflix's growth rates based on their subscription is definitely going to go back up. And this company is definitely going to be back at all-time highs. It's not going to be overnight. It's not going to be in the next maybe couple months. It's going to take several quarters because everything has to pretty much align. But I mean, ultimately, yeah, this stock from these levels it's at right now, just getting back to all-time highs, you're talking 80%. And then you're factoring in how this is such an innovating company. They're always going to come out with new movies. They're always going to come out with new TV shows. The stock is very much going to bust through all-time highs, very much on its way over the next couple of years, very much to $200+. So, me personally, I'll be a buyer of Netflix, definitely around these levels. I'm already up by a couple percentage points on my positions of Netflix. And I mean, hey, I don't really see Netflix going up, moving like by 10, 15% anytime soon, relatively quick. I mean, if that did happen, I'd have to be a little bit more aggressive on my buys. But even if Netflix does get back to $80, in my opinion, it's still a buy for me. Honestly, anything I want to say below $90 is really a buy for me. Once Netflix gets $90, that's very much going to be a signal to myself saying, hey, let's scale back on the buying. Second company lined up that I am going to be adding to because I am a shareholder too is no other than, oh man, this company, oh, whoo, yeah, this company is definitely under some scrutiny right now. So, Coinbase. Financially speaking, on Coinbase, when it comes to fundamental analysis, not doing the best. When it comes to technical analysis, not doing the best too. Obviously, from all-time highs, we are very, very, very much down. I mean, cryptocurrency has just had a very volatile experience around Coinbase. And the Clarity Act, very much empowering cryptocurrency. It's looks like it's probably going to be delayed, or if not, maybe even scrapped. There's a lot of very much bad rumors, but here's the reality. I'm a crypto bull, and so many other people as well too. I really feel that we are in a crypto downward cycle. If I'm wrong, I'm wrong. I do own some cryptocurrency. Since first time since 2021, Ethereum. And if I'm wrong, hey, risk management. I don't have a massive, super larger position in Coinbase and also Ethereum compared to other very much, I want to say, risk management based plays. If things don't go my way, hey, at the end of the day, that's the cost of doing business. You know, it's investing 101. Things don't work out, you pretty much take your money and go elsewhere. But my thesis around Coinbase is very much that the financials are going to remain terrible. They're going to miss on revenue. They're going to miss on EPS until cryptocurrency turns around. So Coinbase is definitely one of these companies where I can see myself adding to in the next several quarters and until cryptocurrency very much turns hot. When is that definitely going to happen? Nobody knows. I mean, Bitcoin, I've talked about this a lot. Apparently, if Bitcoin really is on a cycle, we should really be bottoming with Bitcoin around October, November, maybe even December. And then maybe the next like several quarters, or maybe the next quarter after crypto bottoms, maybe then Coinbase can definitely very much move higher and rebound. But I mean, until then, you're not going to see a massive, massive move in very much a company like Coinbase. Still relatively a new publicly traded company. I mean, they ended up very much IPOing during 2021. And obviously 2022 was a massive, massive drawdown for crypto, let alone the market. Very much, I mean, if you were buying Coinbase in 2022, early 23, you were definitely up big going into 2025. Obviously, if you were buying in 2022, you're still up right now at $149. But for me, buying at $150, could Coinbase go back down to $100? Sure. I mean, if crypto theoretically if Bitcoin were to drag all the crypto down even further, yeah, there's really nothing stopping Coinbase. They're very much like the bit mining companies around like Bitcoin, where their business model revolves around cryptocurrency. So if cryptocurrency is in the gutter, then their business model is going to be in the gutter too. Same thing like Robinhood. I'm very, very super bullish on Robinhood. I have a massive position of Robinhood on my public and private account. Tens and tens of thousands of dollars invested in Robinhood. But guess what? Robinhood is a risk-on company. If the market is not taking risk, aka people are not buying and selling stock in crypto, then Robinhood's business model is going to be stagnated for a while. The crypto market, the stock market is very bullish, risk on. Robinhood, Coinbase is very much going to profit from that atmosphere. So, two stocks that I'm very much adding to: Netflix, very much consumer-driven type stock, very much tech-based, very, very super bullish, and Coinbase. Lastly, to wrap up this video, what position would I feel comfortable having more in than one, Netflix or Coinbase? At these current conditions, I would say Netflix would be a larger position for me. Why is that? Because with cryptocurrency, there is always that risk of regulation and something where you may get another, like, let's say hypothetically the Republicans get slaughtered in the midterms. Now the Republicans lose the House and the Senate. What is going to happen with the Clarity Act? Nobody really knows, okay? What if theoretically in the next several years we have a Democrat president who's going to be pushing to completely remove cryptocurrency? You got to be remembering that. Netflix, yeah, I don't see Netflix happening. I don't see the government disrupting Netflix. The government can definitely disrupt crypto, but I don't see the government disrupting Netflix. Not to mention, I think a lot of government politicians, they watch a lot of Netflix too. So I don't really see Netflix being disrupted by crypto. But if I had to really overly build a position, Netflix or Coinbase, I would personally choose Netflix. All right, everyone. Hopefully this video brought you joy, motivation. Remember to do your due diligence at the end of the day. Good vibes all around. New video tomorrow. And I will catch you all on the next one later.